great privilege to introduce Kieran McGeeney, the new Armagh Senior Football Manager. Kieran, you're very welcome to Linwoods Armagh TV in your new capacity as Senior Football Manager. So thank you for being here, firstly.
No problem.
Firstly, I thought maybe it might be useful to take a look back at the campaign just past. How would you summarise that campaign from your perspective?
League or Championship or both?
You tell me.
The league was very up and down for us. We had our hands well tied throughout the league, just with injuries. Most of those came from probably the club campaign from before. We'd lost a lot of top players, and then throughout the campaign, and we took some bad knocks too, in terms of impact injuries. So it was tough going. And at one stage we were looking at promotion, and then 2 games later then we were looking at relegation, and it was a tough way at the end of the year, but that's the way it went. But there was definitely signs of improvement the whole sort of time, and Paul was very adamant about sticking to the thing, and he was right, and it worked out as the summer went on. Then we had a good result against Cavan here, and we probably did ourselves justice in the first Monaghan game, not so much in the second, though. I think when people look back over the replay, we probably played a lot better than most people would have given us credit for. And then in the backdoor system, against Tyrone, we put in a good shift. When you were shooting, wasn't probably as good as it should have been. And then moved on, and we had a couple of good results, and probably unlucky not to get beat, or not to beat Donegal in the end of it, in the All-Ireland quarter-final. But I think it's always a good sort of sign that if you're making the last 8, we made it, and we're competing against one of the best teams. But the flip side of that is then it's when the team is trying to sort of make the breakthrough again, when you don't get some sort of maybe silverware or get to a final point, you have to start from scratch again. So that's the realisation for everybody for next year. Although we got to the quarter final and we gave a good account of ourselves, we're in Division 3 and it'll be a dogfight. Our first game is against Tipperary. I can assure you we'll be well prepared for us. So so it was a mixture of good and bad, and hopefully there's a lot to learn from it, but we also know that we're in a position that we still have to keep on fighting.
Of course, you mentioned your good friend Paul Grimley, who has stepped down from the position of manager, and in recent weeks we've seen the departure from the playing county scene of the likes of Kieran and Brian Mullen. What would your thoughts be on those men?
Well, Paul and me go back a long way. Even before I was involved in management, he was involved obviously with the management here with Armagh when we were successful. We're good friends. We always butt heads at training, but that's because I think we're quite similar in the fact that I think that's why we both have so much time for each other. We never hear from somebody else what we have to say to each other. It's always said. It's a great thing to have that in any man, and it's something that even I know Paul's respected for all throughout the country. Like a lot of things, most people find that part hard to deal with, that he is always honest, but it's the one thing I admire with it most, that you always know where you stand. So it was great to be back sort of working with him, and I know he stepped away for a while, but knowing Paul, you'd always sort of see him around the place.
And then the likes of Arn and Brian that have stepped in as well?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, I would feel that the fellas are well within the capabilities of staying on for at least another 2 or 3 years. I suppose for some of our team, we stayed on until we were 35 and 36, and those young fellas are in fantastic shape, as good a shape as we were, and it's a pity to lose them. Aaron, very experienced defender, great on the ball, same with Brian, he started showing in the summer, old form and stuff like that, and it would have been great, and it's just unfortunate that they're not about, but you have to respect their decision. I'd rather them here than not be here, but you have to respect their decision. If they feel they've other commitments in their life now to take priority, it's understandable. Family and the career and that have to kick in at some stage in your life.
From your personal perspective, what does it mean to you to be the Armagh Senior Football Manager?
Yeah, well, it's probably no secret what Armagh's meant to me all my life. Ever since I was a child, I can remember my first sort of tag I did under 14, in the South Armagh selection going to Cork, and I've always wanted to play for Armagh. I always felt that was where I was meant to be, it was just a big part of me. I enjoyed my time with Kildare and I wouldn't swap it. In fact, it was a big part of my life, and there's still a wee part of me sort of feels like an unfinished business, like, but Armagh has always meant something big to me, like, and to manage it now, like, it's an honour, but it's a very hard sort of thing to describe to people, like, it's just part of who I am, that's basically what it is.
At what stage of development is your current backroom team for the new campaign?
It's pretty well much developed. I didn't want to make too many changes. I think Paul had put a lot of people sort of together, and I think at the tail end of the campaign last year in the championship, it showed that everybody had a lot to offer. And I've asked them all to sort of see if they want to give it one more year, and sort of see where we are. Like, the people that were involved, I trust them implicitly. Their background, speaks for itself. The likes of Peter, in terms of success with clubs, Brian, Martin. So it's great to still have them on board. Julie Davis, the strength and conditioning coach, and I've been well on record, I'm saying all Julie's knowledge in that area and her ability to bring the athleticism into the game, for us, is fantastic, and I think she's the best in the business. She goes quietly about her business. Sometimes it's always hard to get strength and conditioning coaches to just do that particular role, but she's brilliant at it, and she's made great inroads in terms of developing her gym and stuff like that. And Dennis helps out too. So there's probably one or two more just helping out at different aspects of it.
Okay, so what did your work plan as Armagh Manager look like over the coming months then?
Is it? No, it's about trying to sort of again building what's been done. I think the present county board have went a long way in trying to change things around and put more structure and content of what's done and accountability, and that's great to see. Because it's always easier when everybody's rowing in the one direction than when people are trying to row against you. So working in terms of developing a plan for the upcoming year, and beyond that, so that there's key structures in place. We've already got a few of those in place in terms of how we do our medical thing. We're trying to improve that, as I say, the strength and conditioning. So all of that goes right through to under 21s, minors, the academy squads, all that sort of stuff, and just sort of seeing if we can sort of bring that down into the club system as well, whatever expertise we have at our disposal. So there's a whole lot of different areas to sort of look at and try and sort of bring forward, and hopefully we'll have something on paper, and again, just people who can be accountable for moving all those things forward.
In terms of your goals for the team for the next year, and indeed the 5-year term, how do you see that at this stage?
Well, it's very hard to write the goals for another man. You can only have goals for yourself in terms of what I have to try and sort of do, and I have those. The most I can control are putting structures in place and trying to facilitate players to do the best that they can. Trying to put the right people in place to make sure that they have the best people at their disposal to do that. In terms of winning and targets and stuff like that, they're not really up to me. And anybody who thinks any different, is only kidding themselves. You can't control another man's drive or another man's heart or desire. The players have to come wanting that, and they're going to have to set their own goals and decide what they want out of this. And when they decide that, hopefully I'll help them sort of sit down and sort of look at those. Then I suppose that'll tell us where we're going to go.
Any other messages just to finish for supporters and for the county as a whole at this time?
I suppose not really. All I can sort of say is I'll do my very best in terms of what I feel I can do and bring to the sort of table. I also very aware of the fact that when you manage a team, eventually you're going to be disliked. That's just part and parcel of what you do. It doesn't matter how good you are or how many things you win. Eventually comes the stage that you'll have your sell-by date. And I just hope within that particular period that I do what's needed first of all. I also hope that I give the opportunity to any player that wants to play for us county that opportunity, because I've yet to meet a manager who doesn't pick a player that wants to play. Despite what people may sort of think out there, I hope that we can bring pride and humility back into Armagh, and the fact that we know we have to work hard to get up at the top sort of teams, and we have to push hard, and that we're not there. That's going to take a certain type of mindset to get there. And I hope that I get on with everybody, and I'm not going to keep everybody happy, like in terms of some of the decisions I make and things that I do, but I know that I'll always make them for the right reasons.
Kieran, thanks very much for your time this morning, coming here and taking part in this interview, and we look forward to supporting you as Linwoods Armagh TV and as supporters in any shape or form that we can for the campaigns that lie ahead. Thanks for your time very much.
Thank you.